What's up, guys? My fault about that background. I don't want YouTube to clip me for it. You already know what it is. Oh, yeah. 2K26. Shout out to SGA. His taste in music is superb. All right, guys. Welcome to the second live stream of the night. I'm back a little bit later than what I said I would be, but that's okay. I got like 4 clips I want us to look into. We got Candace Owens and TPUSA. We got T.I. on why he doesn't go to church. And then we got Kash Patel in some hot water. So we're going to jump right into that. I'm trying to change the background. But I'm going to go ahead and play the first clip. So let's jump right in. When you guys come in the chat, make sure you hit that like button. Say what's up in the chat. Say where you're watching from. Make sure you follow the live stream rules. Just put your opinions in the chat because we want to know what they are so we can all interact. But keep it cordial. Keep it respectful. Keep it short so you don't flag the AI mod. All right, I'm going to play the first clip. Let's jump right in. Well, you know what? I'm going to wait a second. All right, let's jump into that first clip. Here we go.
On Christmas morning, if your kid wakes up to this game stick, it's gonna be their favorite present. Let me show you what this thing...
Absolutely pathetic. Oh my goodness. So let me start off by saying, I don't want to hear anything about people complaining about white supremacy, complaining about racists, complaining about Africans, complaining about tethers, Sambo soldiers, none of that. I don't want to hear people complaining about Republicans, Democrats, reparations, cut the check. I don't want to hear any of that, okay? Because whether or not you agree with Candace Owens, and you all know I don't, but we have just witnessed one black woman, whether or not you believe she's black, she's from the Caribbean, not the point. But we have witnessed one melanated woman take down, cripple, okay, bring them to their knees, a multi-million-dollar company. Damn. Now, like I say, you don't have to like her. You don't have to love her, but you have to respect the jiu-jitsu training that she received. You have to respect, okay? You got to put some respect on it, all right? Because this was something to behold. Because one thing that I started off by saying was that I believed that Candace, right, would win some battles because she has jiu-jitsu training, and her jiu-jitsu training is top tier. Okay, she had the jiu-jitsu training of Ben Shapiro, PragerU, TPUSA. That's some top tier Jews training her. All right, and I don't mean that in any type of disrespectful way. It just is what it is. So I was like, yo, she's gonna win some battles. But the war, she's going up against a white woman who's a widow, who has kids. All right, that is the ultimate, the ultimate boss level in this country. Like, you're not beating that. But Candace, her training was so spot on that she knew she could not go up against. She couldn't go up against those odds. So what did she have to do? You can't go up and attack a grieving widow. So what do? Well, jiu-jitsu training, which suggests you do then, is change the terrain, change the playing field. So instead of attacking a white widow who has kids, she's now, what does she do? She casts doubt on whether, in fact, she even is a grieving widow. Damn. That's how you go about it. And as she starts planting seeds of doubt on whether or not she's actually grieving, if it's actually genuine, okay? Because you have to understand, that's all chips in a game plan. That's an all chips in game plan because it can very easily backfire. It is just a minefield trying to change the framing of Erica Kirk as a grieving widower, okay? That's a minefield. But one thing I did not anticipate, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't factor this into my analysis, was the
I'm not gonna lie, like, Lucas is crazy, but he makes a good point. You know, when he talks about Candace and jiu-jitsu, I'm just thinking to myself, like, I know exactly why he's using this metaphor. It's just so crazy because He's saying that she single-handedly takes them down, but she's not single-handedly taking down TPUSA. It's just that the question she's asking is kind of leaving them in a debilitating position. You know, it's kind of leaving them to where they're giving off lies. Maybe they're not telling the entire truth. Maybe someone's hiding something. So this is the reason why Lucas is referring to Candace's jujitsu in this way.
Absolute incompetence of Erica Kirk. I did not know she was really a white ignorant. I really did not know. I thought she had been jujitsu trained. Okay. And I think that's a fair assumption to take. Okay. She was the wife of Charlie Kirk. She had, people, very powerful people in her back pocket as friends. She was a pageant, doing pageants for Donald Trump. I would think that he would have his wife have some type of jujitsu training, especially if the company put her as CEO. If they voted her as CEO, you would definitely think she would have some type of jujitsu training.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolyte.
Hi, we're Charity Water. If we lost you at Charity, we get it. Give us a moment to change your mind. At Charity Water,
her media presence of wearing these gaudy rings, I knew there was going to be a problem, okay? I knew there was going to be a problem when the first video came out and we had her with her hand on Charlie Kirk's dead body and she's crying and, oh, I love you, I miss you, I love you. I'm like, yo, that's weird, right? That's weird. I don't care who you are, Republican, Democrat, atheist, agnostic, Bible believer. I don't care who you are. That's weird, okay? That comes off as...
It kind of makes me wonder if Lucas saw Keith Edwards' video, because Keith kind of described it the same way. Shout out to Keith Edwards. He's a channel favorite. We react to him a lot on the channel. He said the same thing. He's like, dude, this is really weird. I actually think it's kind of unhealthy for somebody to react like this. Go see a therapist. Those were Keith's words. So let's keep watching.
Performative. And to now put that out there and then talk about, well, I don't want to discuss where he's buried and all this, I'm sorry, you're not dealing with a very high IQ audience. Now, I may be able to see, well, there's a difference between that and being fearful of people maybe, smashing, Charlie Kirk's, tombstone and stuff like that, it being destroyed. I get that. But the problem is that TPUSA's audience, the white ignorance of the Republican Party, are white ignorance. These are some low IQ, farting in the bathtub, laughing people. These are very simple people. So they don't understand, logical fallacies. They don't get that. They'll go, that's right. She got a point. And that's a problem, is that now you have two Pied Pipers. You got TPUSA, and then you have Candace Owens. Candace Owens has a Pied Piper, right? But the problem is Erica Kirk, she got no jujitsu training. Damn. As that went on, she kept making mistakes, fatal mistakes. And what put the nail in the coffin, and I said this on the live stream because we've been documenting this, but I said this on the live stream, what put the nail in the coffin was really that the CBS town hall. Because they were going to do, the meeting, right? I forgot, Ned Bleff or whatever, the bald-headed fool. He was going to do, a meeting with Candace Owens. That, fell through. So they were going to do the live stream and address all of her points. I said that was foolish. That was going to be a bloodbath. I don't know what to tell you. Whoever suggested that they do that is an idiot, is adult, okay? And from what I'm hearing is that Erica Kirk is the one that suggested that.
Are you retarded?
And if that's the case, well, she's dumb. She's a white ignorant who needs to keep quiet. And, honestly, I hate to say it, but she needs to be in the kitchen.
He's out of line, but he's right.
She is not in position mentally, physically, spiritually to be leading Turning Point USA. If you want to have a woman power and a girl boss, then go get that. She clearly has been groomed to be in the kitchen. All right. When it comes to P&E reports, she doesn't know anything about that. When it comes to making probably an amazing steak, she probably can handle that. So she needs to go where her strengths are, because this isn't one of them. And Candace Owens is eating her alive. Because during that meeting, that town.
The interesting thing is, a lot of people don't disagree with Lucas. Now, you guys can tell me what you think, but a lot of people don't disagree with him. In the sense where they say that right now she's definitely not mentally and spiritually ready to be doing what she's doing. So there are a lot of people that say that. They say that, actually some people say that Charlie wouldn't have wanted this. What do you guys think about that? Some people say that. They say we don't think Charlie would have wanted this because then he would have already been including Erica on his own before she passed away.
Town hall, it was horrible. She was coming off as a raving lunatic.
Behind the reality. One, people say that Tyler Robinson was actually a MAGA Republican. Or two, some people say you were actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me, and you were Charlie's handler, and Israel killed Charlie. Right. Other people.
Her facial expressions, the whole, you know what? I'm going to pray God, okay? I'm going to do God. She's doing all these media tours on Fox News talking about Charlie Kirk and the napkin. This little white napkin that she's preemptively patting her eyes with when there's no tears. Like, who is training her to do this? Boo. If you really crying, then cry, then pat your face so that we can see that it's real emotion. But you don't pat your eyes before the tears come down. Like, what are you talking about? What's going on here? It makes you look fake. And then how she's saying things. Charlie, he would always come home and say, Daddy's home. And then, put his phone away and Shabbat Shalom. Like,
again, he would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home, take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all us.
You don't get to ask those questions.
What? And then the contradictions. Because Candace Owens was saying, and she named names, that he texted people the day before his death that, hey, they're going to kill me.
Andrew Colbett told me the night before Charlie was murdered that Charlie Kirk texted him and said, they are going to kill me.
She then goes on, I think, Glenn Beck, and talking about, that's not true. He never texted anyone that, and I have his phone.
But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered, they're coming after me, someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone.
So that's a power move. But the problem is, Candace named names. So unless those people who come out that she named say, well, I was lying to Candace, which shoots their credibility, she has the upper hand. And this entire time, this could have been squashed a long time ago. If she had handled Candace, right? When it was an Ember, she could have handled it, okay? But the fact that she let it go on, and they did misstep after misstep, it became a blaze. It became a raging fire. And
the funny thing is, we reacted to the clip he just played earlier today, and we talked about that. We talked about the fact that based on what Candace Owens is putting out there and what she's asking, this is why people are saying Erica's tears are starting to look fake now. I said starting out, she had a lot of support, and a lot of people were supporting her, but those same people have now kind of backed up and said that things just don't seem right. So some of the questions, that's why when he played that clip of Candace, you're not allowed to ask those questions. I'm just laughing because that's like already a running meme now for Candace, because just the questions she's been asking, making it super uncomfortable, making TPUSA look like they're hiding something or everybody's not coming fully forward. So now, and I get what he's saying about Erica and like her tears. He's really not the first person to say all of these things. I just chose to react to Lucas because he does a good job at I would say at least covering the part that he supports, right? Because we already know what he doesn't support. Lucas is honest about things like that. But hey, he's not the first person to bring up the napkin. He's not the first person to bring up the tears. He's not the first person to mention the people who say that that Charlie texted them the night before, and Erica saying he never did that because I have his phone. Frank Turek is another person that ended up coming forward other than Candace Owens and saying that Charlie actually told him that they wanted him dead. Frank Turek did say he doesn't know who they were, but earlier on the first live stream, I went on the record to say that Frank Turek is just not the type of guy. At least I've been watching him for years. I didn't know that he was Charlie's mentor, but when I found out, I said Frank Turek, pretty solid guy, pretty solid dude in his faith. Not the type of guy to go in the public square and lie, to make someone else look good, even if he does support them and he looks at them like a son. Just not something that he would do.
I guess their Hail Mary was the CBS, town hall, which went horrifically wrong. It was just all bad. Especially the smoking gun was her addressing the Egyptian planes. She talks about, I wasn't on an Egyptian plane. I want to get, what did she say, fudge sundae? And then it was a chocolate shake. She couldn't even get her story right.
Mind you, I've never, all those places they said I'd travel, I've never been. I mean, I've been, but I'm not within those states that they've...
Beta!
I want to enjoy eating my In-N-Out burger and my hot fudge sundae. You really think I'm going to be on an Egyptian plane while I am wanting to be with my In-N-Out burger and my chocolate milkshake?
Beta!
So if you want to go through my flight log, go right ahead. It's very boring. You say I was here on this date. I have a photo on my phone to prove that I actually was in the hospital because I was having contractions.
But the crazy part is that no one said she was on an Egyptian plane. Candace never said she was on an Egyptian plane. Candace was saying that the Egyptian plane was following her. So what that then does is make Erica Kirk either look like she is, hiding the truth, right? So what that then...
See, now that's interesting. That's why I paused it so you guys can read it. And Candace said this when Erica was done with one of her first interviews. Candace said the claim that Erica made about the Egyptian planes, super weird. And that's when Candace also went on the record to say that at the TPUSA conference that's happening, I believe it's coming up maybe this weekend, that she was going to be name dropped, that someone was going to name drop Candace on the stage. And Candace said that it would be Erica to do it.
Does is make Erica Kirk either look like she is, hiding the truth, right, building up a straw man, or she's an idiot. That's it. Those are the only two options, and both of those aren't good. Because if it looks like she's doing a straw man, she's saying, well, I wasn't on the plane, and you know damn well she didn't say that you were on the plane. Now it makes you look even more mischievous. It makes you look like you are hiding something, and now your credibility is done. It's shot. That CBS interview killed her credibility. That now puts all the cards, every leverage possible is in Candace Owens' hands. Damn. You have Erica Kirk taking a plane to go to Candace. If that's not a power move, I don't know what to tell you. You tell me the grieving widow took a private plane to go visit and sit down with Candace Owens?
Guys, 3 days into this game, and I have uninstalled all other games in my phone. Pathetic.
For all the white ignorance, and I've been seeing a lot of white ignorance from TPUSA and everything, talking about, oh yeah, this is totally, this means Erica Kirk, is done, man. Candace is going to get finished. She's done.
Okay, instant thoughts. Erica Kirk just said that her and Candace Owens are meeting tomorrow in place of the live stream in a face-to-face private discussion. What does this mean? It means that Candace Owens is absolutely beat.
What? Is all these dummies talking about, oh, Candace is done. No.
I don't understand why people would think that. So to me, this is interesting. Because I was watching live when on Charlie Kirk's channel, the two hosts began to talk about, hey, we're going to do this live stream to where we answer every single question that people have out there about Charlie or that Candace has put out there. Anything that's under speculation, we're going to attack. Like, I remember watching him say this. The same guy that Lucas was talking about when he said the bald dude, right? Okay, so the fact that now all of a sudden, and they promised this to live viewers, and that this would happen. And now the fact that all of a sudden they're going to meet in private, I don't think that actually means Candace is finished. If anything, it makes me wonder what does Candace have that Erica now wants to switch it from a live stream to a private meeting, because if it doesn't matter what Candace has, then why not just keep it as a live stream and you guys just talk on there in front of everyone? So it's getting suspicious.
Candace has all the leverage. She has so much leverage that she made her, Erica Kirk, go and visit her. Now, let me just say, that's also a dumb decision. And the reason why, I'm going to tell you, nothing's going to come of this. Unless Erica Kirk is going to do some crazy threats against Candace Owens, nothing's going to come of this. Because Erica Kirk has already showed she's a white ignorant. And if it's not going to be recorded, boo-boo. You're going into a non-recorded discussion with no credibility. That means Candace can say whatever she wants and people are going to believe her. There is going to be more charity given to Candace and however she interprets the meeting and what Erica Kirk says than Erica Kirk. Because Erica Kirk's credibility is shot. TPUSA's credibility is shot. Whether or not she wins the war, she can actually do some serious damage. That costs them money. That costs them donors, because who wants to be associated with a TPUSA who they now believe the FBI is involved and Erica Kirk was involved and there were people within TPUSA who caused this to happen? Nobody wants to be associated with that. The white ignorant base that they've accumulated over these years, they don't want to be associated with that. And you know how these mofos love a good conspiracy theory. So I don't see any W for Erica Kirk unless Candace, I don't know, unless they offer her $1 billion and they're like, hey, we can get the lawsuit with Macron, we can end that if you stop talking about this. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. What's going on? Candace Owens.
I could definitely see something like that taking place in a meeting where it's kind of like, stop talking about this. I don't know if there would be a monetary amount offered, but I guess I could see it to some degree. It's just very interesting that the meeting goes from being a promised live stream to now Erica and Candace meeting in person, in private. Like, it's just, I'm telling you, it's super weird. I watched the guy, shout out to Sean, he told me the guy's name. Because I was like, bald dude. Sorry, Sean. It's because that's what Lucas said. Sean Fahey. If I said your last name wrong, Sean, that's my fault. But he said that the gentleman's name was Blake Neff. Yeah. So, dude, I watched him say it. And, like, he had all of these promises. He seemed pretty sure about it. Didn't seem unsure. Didn't seem like, oh, we're trying to figure the date out. Or he even said that we're going to have Candace on. She's more than welcome to come to the live stream. Like, he said a lot of different things, and then now all of a sudden it's a meeting in private. So I'm like, this Charlie Kirk thing, it's gotten so out of hand since this has happened, and I'm just like, man, I mean, I knew things were going to get crazy. I don't think I saw this much coming. So it's I don't know, it's kind of insane, like the involvement with like Israel and everything, and just some of the text message that he sent to other people, because Erica's saying he didn't send them, but there are so many people confirming like, yeah, Charlie did send it. So it's a mess right now. But we're gonna move on to the next clip. What we got up next? Let me check. T.I. on why he doesn't go to church. Let's go to Kash Patel and hot water first, and we'll save T.I. for third. Let's go to Kash Patel. What did he do now? Okay, Kash. What'd you do now, Kash?
But at this point, I think we can all tell.
Okay, shout out to Valhalla TV, one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch for many different reasons. Hey man, I like this guy enough that I went in a 24-hour YouTube timeout for him because I was reacting to one of the video where he was shooting when he was shooting the gun and the bullets to replicate what would have happened if this type of bullet actually shot Charlie Kirk in the neck. And YouTube didn't like that, so they put me on, like, 24-hour bad boy. And yeah, it was what it was. I didn't appreciate it because I'm like, come on, YouTube. Like, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. You really think I'm never going to talk about guns? That's insane. But it is what it is. So let's take a look at what Valhalla reacted to. Kash Patel and hot water. What did Kash do?
Well, this is kind of going to be the movement forward in 2026. You're going to see a bunch more of these attacks, and on the backside of that, they're going to come in, they're going to say, hey, we got to take your rights away so that we can protect you. We're going to start probably banning, censoring, and removing people off of platforms, because again, we got to keep people safe. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And unfortunately, today we have some terrible news topics to talk about. I'm sure you're all well aware at this point of what's been going on in the world in the last 48 hours with that horrific attack on Brown University, the one in Australia, another one in Syria on our service members, and the internet is ablaze already screaming about false flags, right? Now, do I think these were false flags? I'll tell you the truth, guys. I have no idea at this point, but I will say there's some very, very suspicious and bizarre things surrounding both of these things that we know so far, and it wouldn't be a story without the FBI's Kash Patel getting out in front of his skis, misreporting and stepping on his own dick yet again. Wow, shocker. So let's jump into this. Let's examine all this weird and bizarre stuff that's going on with these stories, all right? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Also, the new America First hats are in stock if you want to grab yourself some from the merch store. All right, let's jump into it. All right, so let's start with Brown University, the tragedy that took place there. From what we know now, apparently a gunman came into the physics and engineering lab buildings, opened fire, killing 2 and injuring 9 so far. And you may be wondering, what do we know about the shooter so far? Because if you were watching the news media yesterday, they already had the shooter in custody, and then overnight, of course, what happened? They came out and announced that they let that person go, and they have no idea who the shooter is now. So why is that a big deal? Because, yes, of course, Kash Patel comes out on Twitter yesterday announcing that the FBI has the shooter in custody and takes all the credit for it. Then, unfortunately, just a few hours later, has to come out and announce that they, in fact, don't have the shooter in custody and they have no idea who the shooter is. Now,
it's like the governor in Virginia, I think it was, did the same thing when it came to like the 2 guardsmen in DC that were shot. One minute he comes out and he's like, we got 2 guardsmen that are originally from, I think, West Virginia, and they've lost their lives. And then he comes back out and he's like, oh, that information actually isn't correct. They're both in critical condition fighting for their lives. And then Kash Patel does this. And it's like, where is the disciplinary action? How do you come out and you say, oh, yeah, we caught an at-large shooter. Oh, no, we lied. We thought it was him, but it was someone else. And I'm like, there's no repercussions. Like, what do you get, a verbal warning for that? You get written up? Like, how does that even work?
Why does that story sound so familiar regarding the FBI and Kash Patel? Because he did the exact same thing on the day of the Charlie Kirk assassination, where he came out and said, the subject of the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for your partnership with the FBI. We will provide updates when able. And that actually happened twice in the Charlie Kirk's case. And maybe what's really going on is that because Kash Patel is just so busy and distracted trying to find a women's or a child-sized FBI windbreaker to put on, that they're losing precious time to actually get on the ground and try to figure the case out. But the mainstream media had an immediate field day with this one, of course, because this is who they said the shooter was, who was taken in custody and reported by the FBI that we got him. So who did they have? Yes, they had Ben Erickson, the Brown University shooter who killed 2, has been identified as Benjamin Warner Erickson, with multiple social media accounts indicating support for gender equality, migrant support, and voter records listing affiliation with the Democrat D.C. statehood party. And then another one, Benjamin Erickson has been detained as a person of interest in the Brown University shooting. His alleged LinkedIn profile lists his interests as civil rights, social action, gender equity, and refugee/migrant support. Ooh. Yes, the perfect far leftist boogeyman, I'm sure, until, unfortunately, yes, Benjamin Erickson has been released. No suspect is in custody. Great. All right, here's Brown University's post as of this morning on this, right? It says Brown University officials published a late-night message about the release of the person who has been detained. We know that this update may prompt numerous questions, the message said. This remains an active police investigation, and the university must defer to the Providence Police Department to release information as they deem appropriate. And then, the message from Brown University officials said that we continue to make every effort to ensure the safety and security on campus, while also advising every member of the Brown community to be vigilant in their own activities on campus. So as of the time of filming this video, the initial suspect has been released and they have no one in custody. Now, there's also some...
That's interesting. So at the time of filming, they have... He's released and no one's in custody, but they're also saying that they're dedicated to the safety and well-being. It's like, man, make it make sense. Like, the guy's been released. So, like, how are you making sure that you're dedicated to the safety and well-being if you have no one in custody, no one to question, no one to show the people, hey, this person looks like this, avoid this person and their constituents if they're friends or they have backs up or anything like that. It's literally ridiculous.
Very bizarre things on top of this to take a look at. And that is, yes, for two of the Brown University students, the school shooting was not their first. Brown junior Mia Tretta was injured in a California school shooting, and sophomore Zoe Weissman was in class next door during the Parkland, Florida massacre. But according to the internet, okay, as it says here, now Mia Tretta, a hardcore gun control and anti-Second Amendment activist who's met with former President Biden and just happened to be there tonight, both have already been making the rounds on CNN, MSNBC, pushing the gun control agenda in the immediate aftermath of surviving yet another mass shooting. Now, coincidences do happen all the time. They do. But what's the actual statistical probability that someone was involved in a mass-style attack in high school across the country, and just so happens that they were in the physics and engineering lab building at the exact time on Brown University that a similar style attack was taking place, and just happened to be someone that's met with the former president to discuss gun legislation and anti-Second Amendment laws? It's possible. Doesn't look good. And so last thing before we jump into the Australia story from Fox News here, yes, developing Providence Police have released Brown University person of interest Benjamin Erickson from custody. No answers, no suspect. Law enforcement is admitting they have no idea who did this. Not great. Again, Kash Patel should have been fired months and months and months ago. And maybe the FBI would be doing a better job if they didn't have all the attack was taking place and just happened to be someone that's met with the former president to discuss gun legislation and anti-Second Amendment laws. It's possible. Doesn't look good. And so last thing before we jump into the Australia story from Fox News here, yes, developing Providence Police have released Brown University person of interest Benjamin Erickson from custody. No answers, no suspect. Law enforcement is admitting they have no idea who did this. Not great. Again, Kash Patel should have been fired months and months and months ago. And maybe the FBI would be doing a better job if they didn't have all their agents busy with stuff like this. Yeah, Kash Patel had 1,000 FBI agents working overtime on redacting Epstein files. Oh yeah, FBI Director Kash Patel yelled at agents to drive his girlfriend's allegedly intoxicated friend home. Huh. Those are great uses of FBI resources. No wonder you guys are doing so well.
Yeah, there's already been an FBI director that actually got in trouble for doing that, for using the resources of the FBI for personal gain or for, let's just say personal use. So I didn't like hearing this. When I heard this about Kash, I was like, oh my God, Kash, tell me this isn't true. I mean, they're going to come for you if you are doing this. This is why they say you're incompetent now, and you're the most incompetent. So, I mean, if you guys don't know, it had something to do with his girlfriend's friend, and he wanted the FBI to, I believe, drive her home because she was drunk. And there's just been a couple incidents where I think they said that he asked more than on one occasion. So I'm just like, come on, Kash, this never works out. This is never good.
All right, moving into the Australia attack. This one, absolutely terrible. I believe upwards of 15 people have been killed. 40 more have been injured and hospitalized. Absolutely terrible, disgusting, no matter how you look at it. And, I mean, the news cycle is all over the place on this one, from it being a Palestinian and Pakistani man to it being a former IDF soldier. There's all sorts of stuff going on. I have no idea at this point. It's too early in reporting. And this is also why I like to wait about 24 hours on stories like this. But what we're going to look at is the response, because most of the time, regardless of what happens in some type of crisis, looking at the response most specifically of the government, how governments respond, and if their very first choice is to take more of your rights away, I always raise my eyebrows at how organic that type of attack is. Let's take a look. First thing I want to take a look at is old Benny's response. I'm going to warn you up front, it's absolutely disgusting what he says, but you shouldn't be shocked. Let's take a look.
A call for a Palestinian state pours full fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay silent. It retreats when leaders act. I call upon you to replace weakness with action, appeasement with resolve. Instead, Prime Minister, You replaced weakness with weakness.
So what old BB has to say here is that this is Australia's fault, because Australia had the audacity to recognize Palestine as a state. So they deserved this because they didn't do enough to combat anti-Semitism. Wow. That doesn't make me be a little bit suspicious of who might be involved in this. And does that logic even make sense? Let's really think about that for a second. So what he's claiming is that because Australia has been supportive of the Palestinian people, that's why a Palestinian gunman attacked Australians.
By studying geometry, we can think about our first principles.
That seems bizarre. Wouldn't it be the opposite of that? Wouldn't it be a country that was not supporting the Palestinian people that you would expect a Palestinian terror attack to come on? Right? Anyway.
I mean, he's making a good point here, but I don't want to ruin what he's going to say. But he is making a good point when he's referencing when it makes sense for it to go this way rather than what we're seeing right now.
Very, very bizarre. Again, I don't know, but looking at BB's response makes me very suspicious. And the media has all of a sudden become very, very silent because it turns out the hero in all of this, who actually attacked and took down this gunman, was a Syrian immigrant, Ahmed al-Ahmed. And he's undergoing surgery and recovering from gunshot wounds. Yes, the hero of the story is a Muslim man who stopped the Australian gunman. But that's not going to be great for the narrative. Because, yes, this is what we're supposed to be focused on. Netanyahu blames Australia's recognition of Palestine as a reason for anti-Semitic shooting. Really fucking gross thing to say, dude. Anybody's response to is, you deserve this because of X or Y, yeah, I'm going to be pretty suspicious of that. And immediately within 24 hours in Australia, what are politicians saying? We got to take more of your rights away.
If laws need to be passed, we should recall the Parliament and undertake to do exactly that. I stand with all Australians in this moment of shared grief, and I give this undertaking to the Australian people. We will do whatever it takes to force the strongest possible action from governments to keep Australians safe, to keep Jewish Australians safe, and to secure justice.
Yes, there you go. The government lets you know we just need to take more of your rights away. That way we can keep you safe because, yeah, Australia, you really have demonstrated that with some of the strictest gun laws in the world, making it incredibly difficult for...
But we see some of the same thing in Europe. That's why JD's speech was so powerful when he made it, and it basically went viral on the internet because he was telling them what they're in danger of, just based on some of the censorship and some of the things that we've seen going on over there. He told them in the future what's coming and what the people are in danger of. As long as they keep going down the route that we're currently seeing right now, which is what we're also seeing in Australia, essentially.
For anyone to actually own a gun. And what happens, you can say whatever you want about gun violence, but typically when somebody starts a mass shooting, you need somebody there to put that person down. And when nobody has guns, that becomes a problem. And so I'm not sure how taking more rights away is going to help because it didn't stop this attacker from getting his hands on a weapon to use, did it? But this is what it's all about. Using a crisis, whether it's organic or inorganic, whether it's a false flag or actually happened, using that crisis to push political agenda. And that's what we're seeing across the board. Here's more. Yes, breaking. Israel's foreign minister is calling on Australia to take strong action against anti-Semitism, including cracking down on hateful posts and misinformation. And yes, in America, immediately, within 24 hours, the exact same thing breaking. Trump's Israel-born nominee for U.S. anti-Semitism czar says he plans to work with social media platforms on the algorithms to suppress what he calls hatred and use AI to label misinformation. No way, they want to ban and censor speech. Oh, shocker. And here's some more again. Never let a crisis go to waste.
That's exactly what I was thinking because that's what it's going to be. Ban and censor speech. So they're going to use AI to help recognize misinformation. So what's going to be considered misinformation? What's going to be considered hate speech, right? It's going to be based on the person who built the AI, right? I'm like, oh, this is going to get interesting real fast.
It's right. Benjamin Netanyahu says Western governments need to act immediately to prevent the spread of anti-Semitism following the attack in Australia. What do the comments have to say about this? I always like to look at the comment section, see what people are really feeling. Number one comment with 7,000 likes. Leading cause of anti-Semitism is Netanyahu. Acting like his Mossad wasn't the one behind it. Create the crisis, provide the solution, play the victim. Sounds like our greatest ally may have been behind it again. I'll bet $7,000 who the shooters were. So again, I don't know, guys, but to my point, look for the reactions of these types of people, of our government, of foreign nations' government, and the immediate reactions, if they include taking away your rights, you should be highly suspicious to whatever just happened. And stuff like this is also very important to look at. This is one of the people that was there during the event.
Can you tell me what happened?
This was two shooters. One on the bridge, one under the bridge. Just start to shoot for 20 minutes. They shoot, change the magazine and just shoot. Simple as that. 20 minutes with 4 policemen there. Nobody give fire back. Nothing like they are froze. It looked like 20 minutes. And they
So over 20 minutes with no police arriving on scene. And again, it was a Syrian immigrant who eventually actually had to disarm that gunman after being shot and taken down. So there's some questions behind that. How is there no law enforcement response for over 20 minutes to something like this? I think there's questions that probably need to be asked. So to wrap it all up, guys, were these real? Are they organic? Are they false flags? I have no idea at this point. I can tell you, just looking at the behavior and responses from governments and the mainstream media, highly suspicious, of course. And like I've said, probably 10 times over the last 6 weeks, we were going to see a major drum up and escalation of Islamic extremist attacks. Like I've said that over and over and over again, and that's what's happened, and that's what's going to continue to happen. Whether these are real, whether they're false flags, I don't know. But at this point, I think we can all tell.
Sleeper cells set up. I mean, he's probably going to say the key thing that I'm thinking. Well, we can all tell at this point. Let's see what he says.
All this is kind of going to be the movement forward in 2026. You're going to see a bunch more of these attacks, and on the backside of that, they're going to come in, they're going to say, hey, we got to take your rights away so that we can protect you. We're going to start probably banning, censoring, and removing people off of platforms, because again, we got to keep people safe. And that's where I think this thing is probably headed, but we'll just have to wait and see. So obviously, this is all...
That right there is the key thing. That's going to be the excuse that they use, right? We got to keep the people safe. So we're going to have to start doing this on platforms. We're going to have to start taking this and that away from you guys. You know, we're not trying to censor. We're not trying to control you guys. But this is the best way that we can kind of keep everyone safe. And this is the best way to go about it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, great. It's literally only a matter of time. I know he's going to be right. Shout out to Valhalla TV. All right, guys, let's go to the next clip.
Hey, bedtime soon.
So, folks, all right, I'm going to save TI because usually we save the Christian clip to start the live stream or to end it. So we're going to go to HDC. Shout out to Heavy Duty Country, one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch. Favorite. We watch him over here often. He's covering one of Erica Kirk's interviews. I believe the news anchor is asking her at this point, what does she think about Candace Owens, longtime friend of Charlie's, the rhetoric that's being spread and the things that she's saying. What does Erica Kirk kind of think about it? Super weird, scary, just weird look that she gives off, and then just says like 1 or 2 words, and that's kind of it. So yeah, let's jump right into the clip.
I've gotten to a point where I am uncomfortable with what is coming out as far as the Charlie Kirk case. The odd energy that Erica Kirk is giving off, and that's being pretty nice about it. And I'll give you an example. Erica Kirk forgave Tyler Robinson when she gave a speech, and the guy's not convicted yet. This was at a point when there was not much out about him. So we live in a country where it's you're innocent until proven guilty, but she just decided his guilt and then forgave him publicly. And look, I'm Christian, so I believe in protecting your inner peace. And one of the biggest ways to do that is forgiving people. Forgiving people, saying, look, I forgive you, I'm moving on, that's it. But doing it publicly on this kind of stage with this many people watching doesn't make that much sense. It really doesn't. And one of the big things that I am trying to figure out is why there are lies starting. Why Erica Kirk is defending these weird things that are coming up. One of the things is that Charlie Kirk had sent people texts saying that he was scared for his life, that he thought he was going to be killed. And here is Erica Kirk saying that that is absolutely not true.
But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered, they're coming after me, someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone.
Okay, so a couple of questions here. How do you have his cell phone? Wouldn't that be a piece of evidence? Like, I don't know everything that goes into these investigations, obviously. I'm not law enforcement and I don't fucking want to be. But doesn't it seem kind of weird that she's like, oh, no, look, Candace Owens is wrong. She showed the text on screen. I have his cell phone where, obviously it should be in evidence, but I have it and it's all good. He didn't send those texts. Here is somebody out of TPUSA saying that he received those texts.
He wrote me this: please pray for me. I'm under the gun on something right now. Prayers appreciated. I texted him and I said, I hope you've increased your security detail. He texted me back. He said, quote, I have. I know they want me dead. And I don't know who he meant by they. He wrote me this: please pray for me.
So why the lie? I'm trying to put myself in the position of somebody who has lost somebody extremely close to me in a heinous act, okay? For me, I would be on fire. I would be like, dude, I want everybody interviewed. I want everybody's cell phone who was there. I want all of the information possible, and I'm going to be pissed off until we figure the whole thing out. But she's like, oh no, he wasn't worried about being killed. Well, which is it? And if this guy is telling the truth, why lie about it? It just kind of seems like.
And that's Frank Turek. That's the gentleman that I've been watching for years that I was unaware was Charlie Kirk's close spiritual mentor. And I said, well, Frank Turek is a pretty stand-up guy. He's not going to get on live and lie to somebody for clicks, views, or nothing like that. He doesn't care about that. He's not like that. So for Frank Turek to go on the record and say, yes, I did receive text messages like that from Charlie, I'm like, oh boy.
They're hiding something. What else can a rational person infer? All right, you guys, so drug discovery has been completely broken for a while now. Over 90% of drugs fail, and it takes 10 plus years and billions of dollars just to bring one to the market. That's insane. This is where Mindwalk Holdings, ticker symbol HYFT, comes in. They're using advanced AI to redesign how drugs are discovered, not just speed it up. Their breakthrough is something called HYFT technology. It indexes biology the way Google indexes the internet, turning chaotic genetic data into structured, explainable insights. No black box AI. On top of that, their Lens AI platform connects 25 billion biological relationships, allowing them to design better drugs, predict toxicity, and optimize candidates before expensive lab work even starts. And here's the big one. AI-designed GLP-1 therapies. I'm sure you all have heard of Ozempic out there. It's the huge thing right now. Diabetes, metabolic disease. It is a humongous market. HYFT is engineering next-gen treatments that could be more effective, safer, and even non-invasive. AI drug discovery is heading towards a $100 billion industry. And while most companies are still hyping it, Mindwalk Holdings, ticker symbol HYFT, is actually executing out there. Big Pharma is watching. Investors should too. And then we have this woman. One, as a conservative, why is Erica Kirk going on CBS? Well, how does that make sense? CBS is more woke than...
This is what I was waiting for. I was waiting for him to start talking about this because that's one thing that some people have said. They're like, out of anything she could have went on, why is she on CBS? Why did she choose to go on CBS? They're like, that's about as woke as you can get. honestly, I kind of think MSNBC is like that, but I get what Heavy Duty's saying.
Pretty much anything other than CNN. But she gets interviewed by this lady, and this lady just kind of like makes up this whole thing. This woman is making a living off of you talking about this. What do you have to say to her? Look at Erica Kirk's face.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's. At one time, an employee.
Okay, let me restart this. Look at the shift in her face. She's smiling, she's happy, and then boom.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's. At one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop. The podcaster Candace Owens.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like when a kid is like trying to be mad at their parents. Hey, little Timmy, you want to go to Chuck E. Cheese? No, I don't want to go. Also, what's with the like acting? Go from giggling, smiling to stop it. These two clips have the exact same energy.
That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Wait, I've seen this before.
I do not, and don't you ever say I did. We wrestle not.
This is just getting fucking weird. Here's the next thing that's just fucking wild to me, okay? Everybody's targeting Candace Owens off of making money off of this, but she was a podcaster before this. This is just something to talk about.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with my wife, and I said it kind of drove me crazy too, because I said to myself, like, dude, Candace Owens, I mean, right now, she definitely does have the #1 podcast in the world, and it's been like that for a couple weeks now. But I said this to my wife, I'm like, dude, Candace Owens has been raking in millions of views on her podcast for years. I mean, like, if you go, it's one thing to watch her videos do great. But if you go to her live stream tab and you look at her live streams, dude, like Candace's live streams are at 1.4 million, 1.1 million, 798K. Like, these aren't videos she's created, they're live streams, and they've been like that well before she was talking about Charlie Kirk. So she is not getting rich off of Charlie Kirk, and I actually hate that people have even started to push that narrative. It's kind of disgusting.
As far as I know, nothing that Candace has said has been a verified lie. Although, there have been verified lies coming out of TPUSA. One of them is from Erica Kirk herself, where she says he never sent a text saying that he was scared for his life. Dude from TPUSA just proved you wrong. I mean, look, I'm not saying she's quote-unquote purposely lying. She's probably dealing with a lot. And when I say she's dealing with a lot, she's dealing with a lot of stuff in regards to making money. Running ads on Charlie's account, posting on Charlie's account like Charlie's still alive. Promoting a book, raking the cash, rake it in. We got to make as much money off of this as possible. I mean, does TPUSA really have any place to talk about money with people? Also, I want to just point this out. Isn't it weird how the comments are turned off?
If you're going to just be magnification everywhere, that means you're going to be constantly off and on, going to talk to people. Oh yeah, good to see you. Oh, let me look at my phone. Back on again. And then you forget when you take them off, and pretty soon they're somewhere. And you're like, oh gosh, where'd my reader go? And then you've got another pair that you're putting on. We've seen this lady. We're not going to be that lady. You can get a progressive lens. That means that you have no magnification in the top, just clear lens, and then you get hit with the magnification right where you need it, whenever you're reading or
like, you remove free speech. Whatever comment, rake it in. We got to make as much money off of this as possible. I mean, does TPUSA really have any place to talk about money with people? Also, I want to just point this out. Isn't it weird how the comments are turned off? Like, you remove free speech. Whenever comments are turned off on videos, it's the funniest thing to me. Like, there have been a couple of issues in the gun industry for a while now. And it's like, no, we'll just shut the comments off until people forget about it. That's just pussy. If you have a show, if you have a news network and you feel like you need to turn the comments off because that many people are picking up on BS, quit your show. Quit this bullshit. Whatever this is, Fox and Friends, get rid of it. I don't even know how to turn my comments off on my channel. Check this shit out.
That's Benjamin Netanyahu's son. I called it. That's Erica Kirk. That's Benjamin Netanyahu's son. I called it.
So what was that? I mean, I've talked about this before. I was big in the dance halls for a long time in Texas. So I understand how, men and women dynamics work. And if I'm hugging a woman like that, with my arm around her, my hand on her shoulder, good old hug, especially if the woman is not in the middle, they were together, 100%. So I'm not saying Israel did anything here, but
not a horrible observation. I just thought it was funny the way he said that. He said, especially if she wasn't in the middle. So especially if she's on one particular side of the guy. He's like, oh yeah, they were definitely together. I was like, okay, shout out to Heavy Duty Country for the observation.
I'm saying that there is a lot of propaganda going out right now. And it's just a shame. Like, dude, make your money. TPUSA, I have no problem with them being capitalists, even though they're a nonprofit, right? Which I probably should take that back. I do have a problem with their company acting as if they're a nonprofit when there is a fuckload, literally a fuckload of money being poured into them. And I would like to know, straight up, did Erica Kirk take the money from Israel?
Well, he's just asking a question that everybody wants to know. Oh, man. That everybody wants to know. It's only tripping me out because, like I said, guys, in the beginning, Erica had so much support. And now there's so much doubt there that I don't know. I kind of feel bad. Let's jump into the next clip.
If you want to play all the retro games from back in the day to Donkey Kong, Mario.
If you've ever been told that you're depressed because your brain is broken, I encourage you, please watch this video. Because what I'm going to do as quickly and clearly as possible is show you what science actually says. Today, what respected doctors and researchers are now admitting, that this whole chemical imbalance theory is completely wrong, and they've known it for years. But let me be clear and upfront with you. At no point am I going to suggest that anyone stop taking their medication. I'm not a doctor, but I am going to tell you the whole truth with scientific evidence and what Scripture has always taught us about the human heart, the soul, and real healing. So hit the like button. Help us reach more people with this absolute life-changing truth. And we're going to use an episode from the Joe Rogan podcast to get it started. Let's check it out.
What do you say to someone who is happy with what they do, lives a fulfilled life, exercises, and is still depressed?
Yes, I thought a lot about this, but I want to come back to the thing about East London.
I know this is an issue with a lot of people. I know people that worship at the altar of science and modern medicine that firmly believe that all depression is because of some sort of chemical imbalance in the brain, and anything that debates that or anything that disputes that notion pisses them off.
You know, I understand that, and I would have been like that for many.
Do you get that?
Yeah, of course, I was like that for many years.
Do you get that?
Oh, do I get some people responding that way? Sure, of course. I think the World Health Organization is the leading medical body in the world, right? They did a study of all the best evidence, and they explained very clearly that mental health is a social indicator, right? It has social causes and needs social solutions as well as individual solutions. The science on this is overwhelming. You won't get many scientists who say, in fact, you struggle to find any.
Now, he's saying the science for this is overwhelming. I thought this was very interesting. Because I know some people out there have had this experience. Maybe they've had a loved one that something was going on and they just been told, like, oh, biologically your brain isn't working right, so we're going to prescribe you this medicine. Or you're just going to take these pills. He's going to talk about the fact that he thinks there's a huge social impact on depression, which he says the science is overwhelming for this. So let's keep watching.
any scientists who say depression is purely a biological phenomenon, right? Pretty much everyone agrees there's some social and psychological component. I think there's a weird disconnect between what the scientists know and what the public is told, right? I don't know anyone who went to their doctor who went with depression and anxiety and was told anything other than a biological story. I mean, they may be asked, some of them were asked about childhood, what was your childhood like, and referred to a therapist, but no one was told about these wider social causes. No one was told, like, do you feel controlled at work? Well, okay, it's a fact. That could be making you depressed. But in terms of the people who are depressed but don't, because this was a real mystery to me, right? I knew people, I thought, but this guy's got everything and he's still depressed. What's going on here? I think there's two things to say about that. One is, I started to, for various reasons, for research, for something else, I was reading some feminist texts from the early 60s, right?
And he's going to give a really good example here that's going to help you understand this, of what happened in the 60s in the study they did. So let's just affirm what he said about the World Health Organization, that they admit that depression is not purely biological, and it could be the symptoms of something else. But many times, a lot of times often, doctors only tell the biological story. And patients walk away believing that there's something wrong with them, that they're broken, that it's their chemicals and there's nothing they can do. And that's the dangerous part. Because if you believe that the cause is only chemical, then you start believing the solution can only be chemical. And that can quite...
Yeah, and there are people who, they will take their medicine, as they should, per their psychiatrist. Maybe if the therapist sends them to a psychiatrist, but getting to the point of where the pills or the medication is glorifying, you're glorifying it more than you are God, or maybe you're not glorifying God at all, and you're glorifying the pill and what it's doing to you, or what you think it's doing to you, becomes the huge problem at this point.
I at least steal hope. Now that might sound like a strong statement, so let's slow down here. I want to share with you some evidence, because this is not just a personal opinion or a faith-based idea. I'm very passionate about this. I really want the truth to be known so we can begin to heal, because it's exactly what a growing body of scientific research has been saying for years, but unfortunately it's missed the public eye. So before I start sharing that evidence with you, what is the word depression? Where did it come from? Well, I looked into it, and it looks like it came from a word called deprimere, meaning to press down. It doesn't even feel good to say you're depressed. It makes you feel depressed. It makes you feel pressed down. And this term, it was popularized along with this chemical imbalance and theory explanation in the late 20th century, especially alongside the SSRI, or what they call selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor marketing. So it was all marketing. This is where this word depression really got popular, was for marketing. So now let me share with you some evidence. First, it's going to be a multiple, very, very conclusive study done with multiple scientists. Okay, this is a comprehensive review that I'm going to share with you. Here's what it says. Here's even the title. No evidence that depression is caused by low serotonin levels. Okay, so what that's saying is this chemical imbalance idea is saying that you have these low serotonin levels, and so we got to give you this medicine, this drug, in order to fix that imbalance. But it reads, after decades of study, there remains no clear evidence that serotonin levels or serotonin activity are responsible for depression. Take that in. I mean, this is science, right? We're told always to follow the science. Well, there it is. It's an umbrella review, an overview of existing meta-analysis and reviews published in Molecular Psychiatry. Suggests that depression is not likely caused by a chemical imbalance and calls into question what antidepressants do. I mean, I'm not trying to, put fear in your heart, but like, if it doesn't help for the chemical imbalance, and you know that drugs, that when we take them, it has side effects. I mean, what else can it cause? What else does it do? If it's not helping us, then what is it actually doing? I ask those questions. There is no other accepted pharmacological mechanism by which antidepressants affect the symptoms of depression. We have a quote by Professor Joanne Moncrief here. She says, "It is always difficult to prove a negative, but I think we can safely say that after a vast amount of research conducted over several decades, there is no convincing evidence that depression is caused by serotonin abnormalities. particularly by lower levels of reduced activity of serotonin. She continues, the popularity of the chemical imbalance theory of depression has coincided with a huge increase in the use of antidepressants. Of course, prescription for it talks about it. I'm going to give you some stats here in a little bit. But finally, let's just put it out there again. Many people take antidepressants because they have been led to believe that depression has a biochemical cause. But this new research suggests this belief is not grounded in evidence. I got another one for you right here. Is the chemical imbalance an urban legend? Exploration of the status of the theory. Because a lot of psychiatrists were trying to say, oh, we never said that. We never claimed that. I've seen psychiatrists on panels in front of government officials saying, oh, yeah, we never said that. That's false. But it was widely believed. Here's the highlights from this paper. The theory of chemical imbalance, or serotonin theory of depression, is widely believed. Influential research papers and textbooks endorse the serotonin theory. Okay, that means it's in academia, right? They're trying to push it out there. And claims by leading psychiatrists that the theory was only an urban legend are not supported. These claims divert attention from criticism of the theory. So we're not allowed to criticize this theory because there was so much research and written papers to try to claim that it was true. But many people are saying we never said that. But this paper says they did. They did say that. And it caused a lot of harm. I had something down here. I wonder if it was in this one.
Have you ever wondered how buying Israeli goods helps Israel during turbulent times?
I think it was in the other one. So I got one more to share with you. That there was this I found was unbelievable. Serotonin and depression, a disconnect between the advertisements and the literature, right? Popular advertisements, making money, marketing, and actually what science says. Okay? Here's the main part I wanted to kind of draw your attention to on this, and you can find this anywhere. It talks about Zoloft and how they were prescribing it, and it just became this wide thing, okay, and making money. 1965, this Joseph, I can't say his name, something Kraut, put forth the hypothesis that depression was associated with low levels of norepinephrine, and later research theorized that serotonin was a neurotransmitter of interest. But watch this. Attempts were also made to induce depression, so they were trying to actually make someone depressed by depleting serotonin levels. But these experiments reaped no consistent results. Likewise, researchers found that huge increases in brain serotonin, so you're going to pump them full of this chemical that's supposed to help us not be depressed, arrived at by administering high doses of this, were ineffective at relieving depression. So you can take serotonin out, it doesn't make you depressed. You can give them a bunch of serotonin, it doesn't help with the depression. So what causes it? You know, I mean, goodness gracious, here's multiple peer-reviewed reviews, including a major one in molecular psychiatry, found no consistent evidence that depression is caused by a serotonin deficiency. So what causes it? And how can we begin the healing process? Let's continue.
And a really common thing that happened in the early 60s is women would go to their doctor and they'd say, doctor, there's something really wrong with my nerves. People talked about it as nerves then, we don't do that anymore. Something really wrong with my nerves because I've got everything a woman could possibly want. I've got a husband who doesn't beat me, I've got a car, I've got a washing machine, I've got 2 kids, but I feel like right? And the doctor would go, right, and give a Valium. Now, if we could travel back in time and speak to those women, what we'd say is, right, you've got everything you could possibly want by the standards of the culture, but the standards of the culture is just wrong.
I have to run that back. That's crazy. Like, the fact that he said, you're right, and I'm going to give you a volume, I'm like, oh, you got to be insane.
And a really common thing that happened in the early 60s is women would go to their doctor and they'd say, doctor, there's something really wrong with my nerves. People talked about it as nerves then, we don't do that anymore. Something really wrong with my nerves because I've got everything a woman could possibly want. I've got a husband who doesn't beat me, I've got a car, I've got a washing machine, I've got 2 kids, but I feel like right? And the doctor would go, right, and give a Valium. Now, if we could travel back in time and speak to those women, what we'd say is, right, you've got everything you could possibly want by the standards of the culture, but the standards of the culture is just wrong, right? as a woman, as a human being, you need more than just a washing machine and a car, right? You need a fulfilling life, you need to feel meaning and purpose. And a very similar thing I think is happening today. So when I speak to people who say, I've got everything I could want, but I feel like so tell me about your life. Very often they're working really hard in prestigious jobs that they don't like, they don't enjoy hour by hour, to buy things that don't give them pleasure. It comes back to this hijacking by junk values that we're talking about that Professor Tim Kasser discovered. So what you've got is, because we've been told a totally misleading story about what makes us satisfied and happy as human beings, and this comes up again and again in the interviews you do, because we've been taught in different ways, because we've been told a misleading story about that, we live our lives according to the wrong script. We feel like rather than question the script, we think there must be something wrong with us biologically. One of the things that really blew my mind on this was...
You hear what he's saying? He's saying...
machine and a car, right? You need a fulfilling life, you need to feel meaning and purpose. And a very similar thing I think is happening today. So when I speak to people who say, I've got everything I could want, but I feel like so tell me about your life. Very often they're working really hard in prestigious jobs that they don't like, they don't enjoy hour by hour, to buy things that don't give them pleasure. It comes back to this hijacking by junk values that we're talking about.
And it makes sense that anybody in that situation would be miserable, right? Working somewhere they really don't want to work or they don't like, right? To buy things that they don't actually need or for whatever reason they're buying it. And it says a lot about why people are not happy, right? So it's just interesting. He's going to get into more reasons as to what would make somebody happy if they chose that route, or like what people in other countries are doing.
That Professor Tim Kasser discovered. So what you've got is, because we've been told a totally misleading story about what makes us satisfied and happy as human beings, and this comes up again and again in the interviews you do, because we've been taught in different ways, because we've been told a misleading story about that, we live our lives according to the wrong script. We feel like rather than question the script, we think there must be something wrong with us biologically. One of the things that really blew my mind on this was...
You hear what he's saying? He's saying that because we're doing what society and culture, the script is telling us to do, because we're achieving that, we're trying to do that, the American dream maybe, we've got it, but now we still feel horrible. There must be something wrong with us internally. Our chemicals must be broken.
I interviewed this woman, amazing social scientist called Dr. Brett Ford in Berkeley. She did this research, it's kind of simple research. It just asked, if you consciously decided you were going to spend more hours a day trying to make yourself happier, would you actually become happier, right? And they did this research in the United States, Japan, Russia, and Taiwan. And what they found was, in the US, if you try to make yourself happier consciously, you do not become happier. In the other countries, if you try to make yourself happier, you do become happier. And they were like, what's going on? So they did more research, and what they discovered was, in the US, if you try to make yourself happier, you try to do something generally for yourself. You buy something for yourself, you big yourself up, you try to get a promotion. In the other countries, generally, if you try to make yourself happier, you do something for someone else, right? You try to help your friends, your family, your community.
Wait a minute. What countries
Japan, Russia, and China. It's most of the
They
rest of the world.
stress this, that this is a part of their culture, that if you want to be happy, you do something for someone else?
Now, before we get into that, I mean, this is good. We're talking about what does it take for us to be happy. And as they were saying in the 1960s, these women weren't chemically broken. I mean, their cultural definition of fulfillment was broken. That's the problem. It's the same for many of us today who have prestige without purpose, work without meaning, consumption without connection. We were told if you're successful enough, comfortable enough, entertained enough, oh yeah, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. But when that script fails, we don't question the script. Like I said before, we blame ourselves. I need you to hear this from King Solomon, who was the one that asked God for wisdom, and God granted him so much wisdom that the kings of the earth came to hear this person speak. I mean, unbelievable wisdom. And he said in Ecclesiastes, he did not deny himself any pleasure from this world. He got everything that you could ever imagine in terms of wealth, women, status, prestige. He was the greatest. And he had this to say in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 14. Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. It's like chasing after the wind. Nothing in this world, that's in this world, this physical space-time world, nothing, no matter how grand or large over time, will truly satisfy. In Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 13, it says, God says to us, my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters. So that's the first thing. When we get our eyes off of God, when we stop looking to him, when we forget about him, and that's easy to do in this secular nation that we teach scientific only naturalism in school, where we can't even talk about the transcendent. We can't even talk about the existence of a loving God. That means we've forsaken him. We stop to look at him. No wonder we're going down this path. And then the second one is we've now made...
And I don't think a lot of people take it like that. Like, we can't talk about him, right? Because of the persecution that they'll face, right? We can't, right? Like, we're going to get in some type of trouble. Someone will lose their job. Someone might get expelled from school. Someone might be deemed as full of hate. Like, it's a lot of things that are just a danger now to do such a thing.
Cisterns of our own, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Meaning we've tried everything in this world. We've tried to hew up cisterns for ourselves, to satisfy ourselves, to sustain ourselves, and it never, ever satisfies. We stopped looking at God, and we stopped trying to do it on our own, and now we are in this state. Let's continue.
It's so implicit in the culture that they live collectively that it's not even, just like we wouldn't even, if you said, do you think happiness is an individualistic thing, we'd be like, what are we even talking about?
Isn't that sort of an extrinsic idea as well? The idea that you're going to be happy by trying to make other people happy?
Well, this is the thing. So intrinsic values are not about just internal to yourself.
Right.
They're things that you value. So your intrinsic value could be spending time with your kids, right? That was probably most people's strongest intrinsic value of their parents, is being with their kids, bonding with their kids, loving their kids.
My point is, if your goal is to get happy, and the way you've chosen to get happy is, I'm going to get happy by making other people happy, that seems very strange.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think if you think about where humans evolved...
Well, shouldn't you just make other people happy because you love them?
But that is a way, loving people and being present with them is a way of...
But not as like a specific... with a specific goal of making yourself happy.
That's not why they do it. It's not like...
It's funny, we could tell Joe Rogan's mind is like blown right now. He's like, well, shouldn't you make people happy just by loving them? I thought that's hilarious. I was going to say, Joe, have you never loved someone and still disappointed them? Of course we can, but that's not what we're talking about here.
When they were told, make yourself happy, they had an implicit script in their culture, which was like, oh, right, I want to make myself happy, I'll spend time with other people, I'll do things with other people. But this script that we have, this idea that the way you make yourself happier is as an individual, just doing something for yourself. Dr. Bourget said, we should expand our idea of an antidepressant to be anything that reduces depression. And that should include pills, but also, so you're totally right. I mean, look, I grew up, my dad's a bus driver, my mum worked in a shelter, my grandmother cleaned toilets. Financial anxiety is a massive driver of the despair. I mean, more than half of all Americans have not, because of the incredible financial pressure they've been put under, got $500 set aside for if a crisis comes along, right? So you're talking about, that's a huge drop. And again, that's really important, because explain to people, if that's making you depressed and anxious, don't let a doctor tell you you've just got a chemical imbalance in your brain, right?
But do doctors still say that?
All the time. My nephew's best friend, just literally a couple of weeks ago, went to the doctor and was told, yeah, you've got a dopamine imbalance. The doctor said it's migrated in the 20 years since I went there from a serotonin.
Was this in England or in the United States?
In England, but I get contacted constantly by people who are being told they've got chemical imbalances in their brains.
Are they just as likely to prescribe antidepressants in England as they are American?
It's slightly lower, but it's still exceptionally high.
It's still, There's that narrative that an antidepressant must be in some sort of a pill form, and that even the expression antidepressant and antidepressant, it's a very confusing thing that we've sort of adopted very quickly in this country, and it's relatively recent, over the last 60, 70 years. And the people that have antidepressants in their body, that take them all the time and swear by them, boy, if you try to tell them in any way that there's a better option, they get extremely defensive.
I think
That's it. I mean, I've had that. Hopefully that's not you right now. Hopefully you're following along with me. You're not getting angry. This is that doctor that was part of that peer-reviewed journal that, again, scientifically based. I want you to hear what she has to say now, because let's not get angry because we believe something and we went a certain direction, and now we're finding out that direction didn't.
The real tax deadline isn't April 15th, it's January 1st. If you miss it, you hand the IRS another full year of your compounding.
All right. But as he was, that is a real problem. We need a solution. See, what he was saying was in those countries where they were, it was more easier to become happy. They already had implicitly in their heart, in their culture, in their mind, that the secret to living is giving. All right. But as Joe kind of brought out, well, isn't that selfish? Like, if you're just going to give to receive, that's the whole point? Which, unfortunately, even in Christian circles, I've even had pastors say this. Oh, sow a seed, you'll reap a harvest. Oh, you want this in your life? You want this in your life? Well, give me money and you'll go ahead and get it. Or be nice so that good things come to you. That's still selfish. That's self-centered. The gospel never, ever, ever. Jesus never says take care of number one. He actually says lose your life, and then you'll find it. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, not your own satisfaction, but what God wants, and then you're going to find it. Because love is not transactional. Giving to get is still selfish. That's why Acts chapter 20, verse 35 says, it is more blessed to give than to receive. But you do it the way Joe Rogan said it. You do it out of love. You do it because you care. You do it because you want to, not out of selfish desires, not because you're being greedy, because you want to, because you love, because that is what we were made to do. Mark chapter 9, verse 35 says, if anyone would be first, this is Jesus talking again. If anyone would be first, he must be last of all and servant of all. Even God gave Jesus for us. In John 3:16, he said, God loved the world so much that he gave his only son. So I want to share with you a Bible verse here from Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 and 5, because it...
Shout out to James. Truth be told, you guys can go check this channel out and watch the video in its entirety. We usually start the live stream with the Christian clip, or we end it that way. So I appreciate James being so bold and coming forward with his faith and not being afraid to say some of the things that he's saying right now, because he's speaking true facts. Jesus is for everyone. Not meaning that he's going to save people who are just like outright wicked and evil, but anyone that wants to or wishes to or desires to turn to him.
It is again, it tells you straight from the scripture what it is to live, what it means to live. It says, do nothing from selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interest of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus. That is the scripture. It is to not look at your own interest, not to be so consumed with yourself. I've seen it so many times. There are people that are so focused on themselves, even on their healing, don't realize that they're bringing so much attention on themselves that it's actually hurting them more and more and more. But as he's saying, do nothing from selfish ambition. Don't give to get, but be humble and count others more significant than yourselves. Look to the interests of others. This is the mind of Christ. This is what he has for you and for me. This is one of the keys to really breaking out of this spell, this heaviness that so many of us are beat down with. I mean, goodness gracious. Did you know that 1 in 10 Americans take antidepressants? That millions and millions of teens are now prescribed this? That billions of dollars annually are made in antidepressant sales? It's like one of the leading drug sales in this country. And Medicaid alone accounts for $1 billion plus of
Yeah, and some of the numbers that we're looking at today, it's kind of crazy. Now, RFK is a guy that knows these numbers pretty well, but just him talking about the number of children, with autism. He said when he was growing up, going to school, he believes it was just a crazy number compared to what it is today. I don't want to misquote it, but I mean, I know it's like maybe he said 10 to 20 times higher. And it's real crazy. It's a lot more prevalent in children, instead of it being like maybe 1 out of 30 or, 1 or 2 out of 60. Now the numbers are way higher than that, double that, triple that in some areas. So it really is just it really is a heartbreaking thing to see.
Antidepressant sales a year. Now, I'm not saying that you or anyone should stop taking your medication. I would never tell you to do that. But all I'm saying is that when billions of dollars depend on a simple explanation like your chemicals are broken, so take this pill and it's going to solve all your problems, we should at least ask whether that explanation is even complete, because there's a danger in that. That when someone believes the solution is only chemical and the medication doesn't bring lasting relief, like this doctor said, the despair will actually deepen. Because the question isn't like, well, why don't...
Yeah, and they're not attacking the root, right? They're just attacking the surface. They're just very topical, right on the surface, hovering above. And they're not going deep enough to attack the root. So it's like, yeah, cycles are going to continue. Mistakes are going to keep being made. And some of the same exact mistakes are going to keep being made.
So I feel this way. It goes from that to believing, if this can't fix me, then nothing.
Over 8,000 men have permanently broken free from the P word by watching one single video training that you can actually watch by clicking the link.
Nothing will. Man, this isn't a new question. Do you know that King David battled with this? King David went through this. The Psalms where King David wrote, it was filled with despair. It was filled with heaviness and darkness. Yet David was not condemned. He wasn't broken, and he wasn't without hope, because that's exactly where God met him. For example, go to Psalms chapter 42. Go to Psalms 43 and 45. You're going to have the same question asked in both spots. King David says, why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you in turmoil within me? His soul was cast down. He was in turmoil. He didn't run from it. He admitted it. It's part of what happens. This happens to you. There's nothing wrong with you to feel like your soul is cast down, to feel like there's turmoil within your spirit. But he doesn't end there. In both those Psalms, and those separate Psalms, whenever he admits that his soul is cast down and that he's in turmoil, he finishes and says, hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God. That is so good. Notice what David says here. He doesn't deny the heaviness. He doesn't pretend it's not there. He doesn't condemn himself for feeling it. Doesn't feel bad. He names it. He says he's cast down, but then he redirects it. He speaks to his own soul and says, hope in you, O God. He doesn't say my chemicals are broken. He says my soul is heavy, and God did not shame him for that. Instead, God gives us direction in Isaiah chapter 61, verse 3. He says, put on the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. There's no, that right there. Put on the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness.
It's not an easy thing to do. Easier said than done. At least that's what some Christians may say who somewhat understand the verse, right? Put on a garment of praise, right? And they're like, how can I do that when I have real life issues happening, when I have real life things bothering me, when I have real life things that I'm concerned about and I'm worried that maybe God won't do anything? So they're real questions. They're genuine questions.
This isn't instant happiness, but it's a covering, a reorientation of your heart, of your thoughts, of who you are, away from you into the God who loves you. It offers a way forward. That doesn't mean the feeling is going to just disappear immediately. It means hope is restored. And from that place, healing will begin. So my friends, if you're struggling, please hear me clearly. You are not weak. You are not broken beyond repair. And you are not just some bag of chemicals. You have a soul. And that is the true part of you that was designed to love and serve both God and others. That's why the greatest 2 commandments are summed up in this. This is Jesus. He says, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your mind, with all of your strength. That means go to him. Go to your Father who loves you in heaven. But then Jesus said this, and love your neighbor as yourself. Because at the core of all this is that's the heart of the gospel, to love. Jesus loves you, and he cares for you so much. He didn't just treat your symptoms. He came to transform you completely. He takes what is heavy, divided, and wounded and weary, and he makes it new. So that when you give your heart to Jesus, you're not just pretending everything is okay. You're surrendering to him what isn't. So let me finish with this last word from Jesus of Nazareth. I mean, the Lord. He said in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest for your souls. So go to Jesus today. Lay down your life to him. The life you're looking for will never be found in consumerism, my friends. It just won't. It's not found in self-obsession. It's found in love, in truth, in surrender, in connection to God, your Father who loves you. And he says to connect with others as well. Begin to love. Begin to serve others. Start simple. Start small. Give to someone. Say an encouraging word to someone. Make others feel good about who they are. Affirm to them that they're also loved by God. And watch what it will do to your heart. Begin to praise the Lord. Put on praise music. Put on worship music. In these storms, in these trials. And I promise you, the Lord will begin to transform your heart. And you will begin to be brand new. So thank you for being with me, my friends. I tried to make this as quick.
Shout out to James, amen. Everything he's saying is true. Everything he's saying is true. Amen. Like, to God be the glory. That is something that happens when we decide to put our faith. God is faithful in that way. He's faithful when we're not. So I appreciate you guys hanging out for the second live stream. I wasn't going to keep you guys too long, but I did want to hop back on so we can react to just a few more clips. I will see you guys tomorrow for the regularly scheduled daily live stream. I appreciate you guys pulling up, hanging out, hitting that like button. Make sure you subscribe so you can join the fam. You see every time I go live, which is every single day, but just go ahead and turn on post notifications. So shout out to you guys. I will see you tomorrow for the live stream. So until then, take care of yourselves, take care of one another, love yourselves, love one another, be peaceful, tell somebody about Jesus. Peace.